For the past few videos, I've been going over assembly, how to read assembly, what is relative addressing, what is memory offsets, what XOR, EAX is, all these types of different topics. But one thing I never covered was that there's different flavors of assembly. And this was brought up to me in a helpful YouTube comment where the person was asking me, why am I using the AT&T syntax when the Intel syntax is better? Honestly, that's a good question. I didn't even know it was possible that you could switch the syntaxes when running LLDB until today. So I want to make a video on this. So first of all, there's a couple different syntaxes for assembly. One is the AT&T syntax and the other is the Intel syntax. The AT&T syntax is the one that we've been going over, but it turns out that many more people tend to prefer the Intel syntax because it's easier to read. And also, if you've ever used something like Godbolt, which is a compiler explorer, that also defaults to Intel syntax. So in many cases, you actually might want to be looking at and reading the Intel syntax. So how do we set it up and what are the main differences? Well, it's actually very straightforward. So I'm going to go to the terminal, exit LLDB, open up Vim and the LLDB init file. So this is going to be in your home directory. So it's the .lldb init file. And in this file, you can add a couple of settings. Now you'll see here that I've already set a breakpoint on mains, and I've also added a target hook to disassemble the code. These are the kind of the settings that I always tend to use. By default, the flavor of assembly that is displayed in LLDB is AT&T. So by default, it's always going to be running this. So if you want to change it to use Intel, you're going to have to write this command right here called settings set target.x86-disassembly flavor Intel. That's all you've got to do. You can save this file by pressing WQ. We can remake the file and we can do LLDB/main once more. And if I press run, and here you're going to see the Intel syntax. I think the easiest way to understand the differences between these two syntaxes is to just look at them side by side. So of course I've got a very simple int main function here. On the left here we've got the AT&T syntax, and on the right we've got the Intel syntax. One of the main differences that you should notice when you're looking at Intel syntax versus the AT&T syntax is that the source and the destination are reversed. In the AT&T syntax, you've got the source here, so we've got 0 being set into variable A, source is here, destination is here. So this is the stack, right? RBP is the register base pointer, and we're moving OX0 into RBP minus OX8. The same operation is being done in this line of code in the Intel syntax, but you could see that the source is on the right side, so 0x0 is on the right side, and the destination is on the left side. Essentially the same operation, but these two things are reversed. That's one of the first things that you'll notice if you're swapping between the two syntaxes. Perhaps one of the ways that the Intel syntax is easier to read is that there's a lot less symbols in the Intel flavor of assembly. Here you've got these percent symbols for RBP, you've got these dollar signs for OX0, but you don't have that here on the Intel side. So the Intel syntax is a little bit easier to read, easier on the eyes, let's call it. And the other thing is that memory addressing, it's also a little bit easier because if you're doing memory addressing here, right, you have to know what this parenthesis syntax is doing. You have to subtract OX8 from RBP. But this looks a lot more straightforward. You're just saying RBP minus OX8 in this bracket syntax. So this might be a little bit easier for people to understand because it's more like how you read code, but this kind of requires a little bit of understanding of how subtraction works for memory addressing. And yeah, of course, there's a couple of other differences like this D word PTR being added here, but at the end of the day, both of these are very similar. And if you understand how to read one of them, you'll easily understand the other. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I might have a little bit of Stockholm syndrome because I think I actually prefer the AT&T syntax. Maybe it's because I've made over like 8 to 10 videos explaining the AT&T syntax, and so now I kind of just feel like I'm locked in on the AT&T syntax, but I'm sure a lot of you prefer this syntax. But let's be honest, guys, if any of us are watching a C++ video and interested in C++, I think it's safe to say that we might all have Stockholm syndrome from enjoying C++. Anyway, yeah, that's all I want to talk about in this video. If you made it this far, hit the like button and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.